Hey, welcome back,
Hey, how you doing?
everybody.
Good
Captain Mike,
evening, good
Captain
evening.
Sergio, here we are.
After a weekend at the boat show.
We're trying to get our guests on. We're having a little bit of a problem. So, Mike, talk a little bit about the show while I try to get you know.
So yeah, the show,
Oh, he says
we've
he got
had
it now. Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, we do seminars out there. Speaking about Sergio did one on grouper, I did one on trout. We had the doctor there, Dr. Mike, with his hook remover for people, not for fish.
Right.
And it went very well. It was a good time. We had a lot of people there. We gave away a lot of stuff,
Heck yeah.
and we had a good time. And appreciate everybody who did stop by and talk with us and have that sit there with the seminars and listen to us speak and give out some excellent information. We also had that new product that's coming in Bass Pro Shop, the jigs, and we sold a lot of those as well, including that redfish bait,
Oh God, yeah.
which I think is going to be just spectacular. I'm itching to use it. So
I still don't have it coming up on my Facebook page. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Nope. All right. Yeah, well, hold on. Were you able to get Jim on the line? He said he got it.
But next time you get a chance, you need to come out to the Tampa Boat Show. We have a good time out there. You can come by and talk with us. We've at our booth, and just a lot of information, a lot of new products out there that come out, and see all the new boats, all the new innovations that they have. But
there was some new boats, some new stuff, and then there's a lot of vendors with some different products. That's the part that I liked.
Yeah,
I saw some pretty unique stuff there.
Yeah, and shoot, I bought a few of those products. They're kind of nice.
Well, I bought that can holder, the trash holder.
Yes, so did I.
I got two of them. One for the beaver tail, and one for the other boat.
Yeah. They it's I think it's going to be a win-win on that one. I mean, you're always looking. Your clients are always saying, "Well, where do we put the trash?" Now you got a place to put it.
Now you got to put the trash, because I've been throwing it in a bucket, but then the bucket's all over the place, and if you're running, if they throw just papers in there, it could fly out, and I don't want to mess up the water. But other than that, it works really good. I'm ready to use it. I spent the whole day today just unpacking from the boat show, loading up the beaver tail, and then I had to set up the new boat that I brought home Thursday, and it just sat there. So I had to get it all ready, to go fishing with it. And then we're supposed to go with Hubbard on the 10-hour trip on the 44-footer to film and do a snapper show and all that. And they called me today and said, "Sergio, have you looked at the weather?" I said, "No, man, I've been too busy." He said, "It's going to be blowing over 20. We shouldn't go." I said, "Well, if you're telling me that, I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
No,
Alondro, there's no boat show in December.
No. Well, there's one in St. Pete in January.
In January, yeah.
And that's in St. Pete.
No, he's coming up to see the Bucks and Saints game. So he was asking about that.
It's a shame that they lost on Sunday.
No, Jim. Unfortunately, I did not do the de-hooker. I was lined up to have it
and then the guy couldn't make it. He couldn't make it on Sunday.
Dr. Mike did not make it on Sunday, so we had it all set up. We were going to video him sticking that hook in me and pulling it out, but unfortunately, he had something else he had to deal with and couldn't make it. So
right, but we wanted to. In fact, I was willing to go get some mirror lures and try it on Mike.
Yeah. Nobody would volunteer, so I decided to go ahead and do it, and then unfortunately he never showed up. But yeah. So
and Mike, we need to talk about some of this stuff. Last week out of nowhere they popped up about the Greater Amberjack closed season, boom for a year.
Right.
And then I got the thing this week about the snook, in Charlotte Harbor in the southwest region. It opens October 1st and it closes November 30th.
Mm-hmm.
They're really giving you a long time. In
Yeah.
fact, let me see what they're showing here. They're showing that and Charlotte Harbor is going to open up for next year, March 1st, close April 30th, open October 1st and close November 30th. And then it'll open, and then let's see, that's the open season. Close season is going to be December 1 through the end of February.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean,
And May
it's
1
really
through
cold then.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just that, well, you know what? When I take people out fishing, if we catch a slot snook, which is difficult because you got 28 to 33,
Right.
I almost tell them, I say, guys, it's a female. She's going to be laying eggs. We shouldn't kill her. You know, I mean, there's a lot of other fish they can eat than kill a snook.
Right. Well, I can tell you, for us up here in Crystal River area, Homosassa, all the way Cedar Key, actually, the snook population has actually increased tremendously. And they're a little more adapted to that colder water up here, especially in the wintertime. But we've got the rivers and everything they jump into, so they can adapt real easily. But
you got all those springs,
Yeah, our snook is it's exploded up here. It's kind of nice. And at one point, I think it was a couple of years ago, you couldn't find a redfish, and all you were catching was snook. It just was so much. But I think it's finally balanced out. Now we're kind of hitting both reds and snook about the same amount of fish you're catching. So we're doing pretty good up here with snook.
And in our area, like around Wheaton Island and areas like that, where we could go up to about 2 years ago. I mean, it was nothing for us to pull into a spot and get 20, 30 snook or in the morning if the tide was right. In the last year and a half, all of a sudden, it's like the snook bite is really gone down. And I've been talking to a lot of captains, and overall, it's like anything else. You have a guy that'll post on Facebook, man, we tore up the redfish today. But okay, so you got 8 or 10 redfish today. How many did you catch in the whole entire month prior to that? And the snook used to be easy. 10 to 20 snook every day was a common thing in the morning. Maybe you didn't get them at 8, you got them at 8:30, but somewhere between 8 and 12 before your charter was up, we would have that many snook. And then all of a sudden it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed even at Fort DeSoto, every Memorial Day weekend, camp out there. And last year we were out there. Normally there was just a couple places where we just nailed the snook, and there was just a ton of them. But this past year there was none around. I don't know why, but in those areas they're semi-protected, not too many people know where they are. But just trying to find a snook you couldn't find them. But the redfish kind of moved in. So again, could be just a movement of the fish, finding different places to hide. Who knows? But I was kind of surprised because we would see 100 snook in one of these areas, and the last time we went, nothing, completely zero. Kind of weird.
Still nothing. He's still trying to get on. I don't know what's going on. Let me send this to Hota again because he's on the other line. He's trying to get through.
Trying to get through?
Yeah, he's trying to get in. Okay. All right.
So for those of you who don't know, that's Hota.
Yeah, that's Hota. He's our producer.
Yeah. The voice from beyond there.
Yeah. We're trying to get a hold of our guy, and let me try to get
Donald going down to the Keys. Going to do some lobstering.
Who's
Talked to
going?
another friend of mine.
Don, yeah.
another friend of mine today, Adrian, he's taking his boat down there. They're going to do some lobstering as well. And that's one thing I haven't done down in the Keys. I haven't gone for the lobster. I fished, but just haven't gone for the lobster.
Let me send this to Holta. Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm going to send you that. I'm just looking up his number right now. You know, go ahead, Mike.
All right. Well, I might as well tell you a little bit about the Crystal River fishing area. It has still been very decent. A lot of the red bull reds have kind of backed off a little bit. You'll still catch them every once in a while, but the big run of the bull reds up there near the spoils is starting to, peter out a little bit. But the fishing is still good. With this warmer weather we've got coming in, some of that warm, moist air coming up from the down there in the islands and the Gulf has kind of warmed things up just a little bit. So we were in about 82, 84 degree water. So the bite slowed down just a hair. So you just have to, it's summertime pattern when it runs up to that. So you're still kind of beating the bushes, throwing some baits up underneath mangroves, stuff like that. The trout are still out there. They haven't really come in yet. We're still waiting for that nice big cold front to really push them in. So you're still having to get out there about, a mile or so out and about 4 or 5, maybe 6 foot of water to locate just big schools of trout. You'll still find a few on the inside near the beach and all that kind of stuff. They are there, but you kind of have to hit them on the right tides. Again, throwing some jigs, Little Johns, and punching around there, or a popping cork with some shrimp or pinfish underneath. They're still catching a few good numbers, but it's just really not on fire just yet. But as soon as that big cold front comes through, those fish are going to move pretty quick up into those flats a little bit better. Snook, still catching plenty of snook, especially around the spoils. Plenty of them, some big snook coming through. So if you get a chance, just kind of hang around those spoils, throwing some pinfish, throwing some whitebait. There's still quite a number of whitebait around the spoils as well. So if you happen to see them flickering on the top, grab you a sabiki, grab a few whitebaits, and more than likely you're going to hook up a little bit faster with the snook on the whitebait than you would on the pinfish. But that was the last time we were out there. We got probably within 15, 20 minutes, we had about 20 or 30 of those whitebait, and they produce quite a bit. Down in the mangrove area south, again, redfish still schooling up pretty good, especially around the islands, the outer islands. The only thing you have to fight for is the shark, just being sharked like crazy. So, and
But what's causing that problem? Everybody's complaining about sharks all of a sudden. We had a little bit of a shark problem, but now it seems to have really grown quite a bit.
Well, and I think that it's a learned behavior. The same thing that the offshore guys complain about with the dolphin. It's just a learned behavior. They hear that boat coming in. There's islands and stuff that these people are consistently fishing and consistently catching fish. Well, these sharks have learned that, hey, when a boat comes in, and we're going to have an easier chance for a meal. So they kind of do what I do is I'll go in there, I'll catch a couple fish, and if they're legal size, I'll just leave, just because it keeps those shark from continuing that behavior. So if you have a shark come in, hitting on your fish and everything else like that, best practice is just to leave to keep them from being conditioned to find a boat to easily feed on. So that's usually what I'll do. Just get away from that island, catch your fish, and that way you don't have to worry about the sharks as much. But there are some big sharks been out there, some nice lemons and bulls and everything else like that. Now, if you want to go ahead and catch some of those, you don't have a problem with it. We chased one, a good 100 yards off the island the other day after it picked up one of our baits. So we chased it for a little bit. We didn't get it, but that one was a good 6-7 footer, and we had light tackle. So it was a possibility, but I seriously doubted we were going to get it. But we had caught our fish and we were pretty much done with that and just were playing around with it. So it was kind of fun to do that. Excuse me. Still trying to get him on. We got a guest from Battery. Trying to get him on this evening to talk a little bit about the batteries. A little technical difficulties. It's the fun thing of this show.
I'm trying to send every number I got for him to Holta because he says he's not getting Holta's the request to link up. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I was just trying to take care of that. Down here though, I see a lot of Facebook reports and I see some pictures but there's a lot of captains that are. I think Tarpon Springs, the places like you that are towards the Gulf, they seem to be doing pretty good. But the guys who are inland, they're not doing as good.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's we've had a long summer, believe it or not. I mean, it really is. It's a little longer than usual. At least by now we've had maybe a cold front or two, but we haven't had that. And it may just be the fact that, there's, at least here, and of course, I think you guys have had a lot of rain down there too.
Oh, in my house in Wesley Chapel, we've had a lot of rain. But I tell you one thing, I was looking at the news, the weather this afternoon. Thank God. Did you see some of those hurricanes, those storms on the Atlantic? And I mean, there's a big one out there. Thank God they're, those cold little cool fronts though, they're not cold, but that wind coming down is keeping them away from us. Thank God.
Yeah. We kind of dodged a couple bullets here this year, which is not bad. We've had enough for the past couple of years, so you can't complain too bad. But there's that little next one coming, which is going to give us some rain and wind. But I'm just wondering if all the salinity in some of those backcountry areas down there, especially. Is just kind of low, and those fish have kind of pushed out a little bit just because there's too much fresh water being pushed in from the rain. But yeah, we don't have too many, back canals and stuff like that here in Crystal River. It's all still nature coast, just mangroves and clear water. So we tend to, and they're used to the fresh water, especially around the Crystal River. It just pushes out constantly. So not too much has changed up here other than being a little warm. So not too bad.
And over here, the water temperature hasn't been bad. About a week ago, it was 87 degrees. I want to see it get down in the 70s, start getting around 78, 76. And then you'll see a lot of action kicking in.
Yeah. Yep. So I do want to give a shout out to my buddies over there at Let It Ride Marine. Those guys, they got my motor back on, my jack plate back on, got the boat back home. So I'll be doing a little rewiring and putting everything back together on the boat. But I do want to give them a shout out. Dan over there, he's a good guy.
They did a good job for you.
Yeah, they always are top notch. I'm going to send them some. I'm gonna buy their lunch tomorrow. Send them some pizzas, so as an appreciation, because I dropped it off Thursday before I came down to Tampa and picked it up this morning. Done. So they're pretty quick.
Maybe we can get Donald. Donald, whatever happened with CCA, bring us a complete up to date, man. Did anybody win those boats or whatever? What's going on? I like to know what happened this year with CCA. It would be nice just to find out. But the other thing too is a lot of the guys, we don't have a lot of fishing reports because right now a lot of the guys are either they go on vacation or the bite isn't that good. Like I said, in some areas it's funny. Like I said, where you're at, the bite's good right now. It's real hot.
Yeah,
and Tampa Bay is not that good right now. It's all right, but it's not great. I like to see it when you can go out there and you can catch there's trout. You can find trout. You find them. You're gonna sit there and catch trout all day. but I'm talking about them snook and reds on a steady basis
Yeah,
around Wheaton Island in that area is kind of slow.
right. Yeah, Donald says nobody registered caught a tagged right fish. So nobody
Jesus,
won a boat. Nobody won any prizes. I mean, it's
nothing.
just nothing. It's just a blank year. That's
So
weird.
I think they need to go back to the drawing board
Hmm.
and see what they did wrong
Yeah,
because I think they need to concentrate more. It started as a redfish tournament, guys. Come on, you
yeah.
know, and they started
Hey,
expanding. There we go.
there he is.
We got Jim on finally. Okay, like that. There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
That's good. I'm sorry. What you're in the car?
So I'm over at the meeting place for that.
Okay, no problem. Everybody, we got Jim. It really is Jim Optima, Optima Batteries.
Optima Jim.
Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, I'm glad to have you. God, we lost a lot of time, but it's okay. You're good. You're good at this. Some of the questions I got for you, because like at the boat shows, people come to us all the time and everything else. I mean, Optima is always, AGM for years. Then you guys have gotten into the lithium battery now.
Yep.
Uh, Tell me from your experience, when shouldn't you, and the marine side, I don't care about the racing side. I'm talking about the guy that's got a boat. Where do you see like a defining line of saying, well, hey, AGM is good for this types of boat, for this type of fishing, where, it's like I know for sure that, on a skiff, on one of those type of boats, if you can get away, lithium is a lot lighter. But a lot of the people that came by the booth today, and I think Mike can attest to this, their
Mhm.
biggest concern is, of course, you read a lot of negative stuff all the time about salt water and batteries and lithium batteries. So
Yep.
maybe you can clarify some of that for us.
Sure. Well, I work for Optima, but we're owned by Clarios, which was spun off from Johnson Controls, which I think a lot of people remember as being the big battery brand or the battery manufacturer. So Clarios manufactures about 2/3 to 3/4 of all the batteries in the U.S., all the 12-volt batteries. They do that under a variety of brand names for a variety of retailers. So the experience that Optima has is specific to AGM for our brand, but corporately, our engineering group has a world of experience in the flooded lead acid battery space, and they've been doing lithium batteries in the OE for longer than just about anybody else out there. So it's not like it's a uncharted territory for us, and we watched this unfold in the motorcycle space and then the automotive space, and we weren't in a hurry to be the first lithium battery available for marine use because we knew uh, we saw the struggles that people had in the motorcycle space and the automotive space, and we knew there were going to be more struggles in the marine space because of the things you mentioned, not just salt water, but water in general, and the vibration and a whole host of issues that, unfortunately, a lot of people, and it is people behind these brands. It's not like battery manufacturers in most cases. It's just, any one of you guys can go buy a dozen batteries off of AliExpress and make your own labels, and boom, you're in the lithium battery business. But we saw this happen twice already, and it's happened a third time now, where people get into the battery business and they don't really understand it. They don't have any manufacturing or engineering background. Even some of these outfits that have been selling batteries for a long time, they don't know anything about manufacturing. So we wanted to take our time with it, and we wanted to approach it carefully. And we understand at the same time that not everybody needs a lithium battery. It's like you said, it's not for every application. I live on the Harris Chain in Central Florida, and what I've found is the vast majority of boaters, the first consideration they make when they purchase a battery is how much it costs. So a lot of
Mhm.
folks end up with flooded lead acid batteries, and that's fine too. It doesn't make sense sometimes to even use an AGM battery. If it doubles the value of your boat, you might as well just get the cheapest one you can get. They'll get you out on the water. So the AGM batteries can last up to 3 times as long as flooded lead acid batteries. But what lithium offers is certainly much lighter weight and more cycle life. So the challenge is understanding what that cycle life means for a boater. I see some brands advertising 10,000 and 15,000 cycles. That's going to take you like 10,000 cycles is like cycle your battery once a day for 27 straight years. Most people will never really enjoy that benefit because they know. Do you guys, anybody on this podcast have a boat now for the same boat for 27 years?
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so. Ain't no way.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So, it makes a lot of sense for certain people, professional anglers that are on the water 200 days a year, professional fishing guides, commercial fishermen. It makes a lot of sense for those folks, people who are living aboard their boats and want that additional capacity and the cycle life. It makes a lot of sense for those folks because there's a point you get past with AGM. You might get 3 or 4 or 500 cycles depending on how deeply you discharge the battery, but there's people who will go beyond that, and not just a couple. There's quite a few different scenarios. So in those situations, from a cycling standpoint, a lithium battery makes a lot of sense. In other situations, you might be a flats fisherman, and every pound in your boat counts. You don't fill your tank up all the way because you're trying to get into the shallowest water possible, and if you can save, you know 20 pounds per battery, that's a huge gain for you. So it makes sense for some of those folks, and you can always take your battery with you when you sell your boat in 3 years and buy another boat. But it doesn't make sense for everybody, but budget is usually the first thing that comes to mind when people ask me, what's the right battery for me. It's, what are you going to use it for, but what can you afford?
Yeah.
So I guess what one of the when you said cycle now, and I know that you meant you put it on a battery charger, but when every time you go out and your motor's charging that battery, is that part of a cycle?
That's a really good question, because I think how a cycle is defined varies by who's making the battery and who's selling the battery. The way that we define a cycle, because we have Bluetooth technology on our batteries, so you have an app that connects from your phone to your battery. You can see the number of cycles your battery's had, and we had Wesley Strader, one of our sponsored bass anglers, down at ICAST, and I asked him, "You've had the batteries for over a year now. How many cycles are on them?" And this is a guy that's on the water 150, 200 days a year. He's got 34 cycles on him. So the way that we count a cycle is 100% state of charge down to 0% state of charge. So Wesley might go out for the day and he might knock it down to 70% and charge it back up. And he might do that for a tournament for 3 days in a row. And that's 90 out of 100. He hasn't gotten one cycle yet. So it's going to take a while to reach that cycle point. And the other thing I want to mention, there's certainly different lithium technologies out there. There's like 5 or 6 different common chemistries that are used. Is anybody on this podcast in possession of a phone that's 10 years old?
Right.
Nobody is, right?
Yeah.
No.
And we all cycle our phones every day, right? So cycle life, lithium, there's a window. And when that window's open, lithium batteries will give you all kinds of cycle life. You can discharge it, charge it again, discharge it, and it's not like lead acid where there's this slow decline or drop off. It'll just run like crazy until it doesn't work anymore. But once that window closes, then the lithium battery's done. And I think everybody who's owned a cell phone in the last 20 years has probably experienced a lithium battery that's on its way out. And like, I can't get my cell phone to work for more than a couple hours at a time. I got to keep it plugged in all the time. And lithium batteries have an open window where they'll work great. But, at the end of the day, when you think about 27 or 41 years worth of cycles from 10 or 15,000 cycles, the lithium battery is probably going to break down before you'll ever get to that point, even if you cycle the battery every day.
Wow.
So now let me ask you this question: what really and all the research that you guys have done in saltwater, if you have lithium batteries in a saltwater boat, and yeah, if you're looking at a big yacht let's take the average boater, 21 to 25-foot boat.
Sure.
Those batteries are going to take some kind of a beating, and there's a good possibility unless they got them in the console, which a lot of the manufacturers are doing. But I was amazed how many companies are still putting batteries towards the back
Sure.
around the bilge area.
And honestly, I think some of them do that for hull design because they expect the boat to weigh a certain weight. And I hear this in the bass fishing world all the time, where when guys are moving to lithium batteries, they're like, my boat doesn't handle the same at speed anymore. And the boat manufacturer's like, well, the hull was designed a certain way to have a certain amount of weight back there. And especially like at MLF, where they don't have to have a live well full of water anymore. So they're not running that. And then they're running lithium batteries and maybe they don't have a full tank of fuel. That could be, 100, 150 or, however, 200 pounds less than they were running before. And that hull doesn't behave the same way in the water. So that is a factor, but the thing I always remind folks of, especially with a normal size boat, like you said, that most people will use 21 to 25 feet, that's going to end up on a trailer at some point. A lot of those batteries are going to get beat up more on the trailer as they're bouncing over railroad tracks and bumps and roads than they are on the water. So you got to have a battery that's built for those conditions. It floors me, and I'm not even exaggerating, when I read the warranty language on some lithium battery brands that are being advertised and promoted and marketed to the marine space. And the warranty has an exclusion specifically if the battery gets wet. It's like, how could you sell a marine battery and not expect the battery to get wet? You don't have to watch the haul over videos to watch people putting their bow through a wave. How many of us forgot to put the drain plug in when we went out of the water one time? Or how many of us forgot to take it out when we got out of the water and the boat got rained and it filled up?
You're starting to break up a little bit, Jim.
Yeah.
You're starting to break up.
You're starting to break up there.
I swear I haven't moved.
I know. All of a sudden you're getting real static and dark.
Yeah.
Hey, let me,
Hit
let me see if
that.
I can. I've got my portable Wi-Fi. Let me see if my Wi-Fi signal is any better. I've got 2 bars on my cell phone on here.
Now you're great.
There you are.
There you go. We can see you a little. You're a little lighter. You're getting pretty dark. No, the other way.
There you go.
There you go.
Turn on your you got overhead lights in your car?
All right.
You can see your face a little bit better.
Now, yeah.
What do you expect from a brand new pickup truck?
You were good. Now you're breaking up again. You were good. Now you're breaking up
I
again.
apologize.
It's all right.
Yeah. I don't know what else to do here. I've got 2 bars on the cell phone.
Well, you want to try getting you back on next week and see if you're at home or something, or you think you try to work it out. I mean, you were doing really good there. You were doing really good, and then all of a sudden you started cracking up really bad.
Yeah, I think probably people using the signal over there. Sometimes it happens at certain times during the day.
Well, he's only got 2 bars, he says. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I can try to do here. Let me try to.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. Oh,
He's going to try to get the Wi-Fi on the church. There you go. See if it improves.
That's where
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Hold on. Let's run Jim Pace's fishing report a minute.
Yeah, get our fishing report in.
Hey guys, this is Jim with the Pasco County Fishing Report. I want to start off with talking about bait. That's always the fun thing every time you go out. This week, it's actually came back into our area due to the water getting hotter. It seems like it pushed those larger pilchards back in. Only issue I'm still getting is when I'm cast netting is smaller pinfish. There's a lot of small pinfish, so still having to weave through my bait thing to get out the larger pilchards, but they're definitely larger ones are back in. Not getting as many smaller pilchards or thread fins this week. Bait's been good from Green Key, Hudson, and then right out the Cody River mouth. That's where I've been finding them. Quick bait tip for everybody is once you start chumming, give it about 10 minutes before you throw the net the first time. I've noticed that the pilchards have been staying deep in the grass lately. So I've having to give it about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before I make my first cast. Even though I don't see them up on top of the water, I'm still able to still get the bait. So just give it some time, let the chum do its work before you throw the net. As far as fishing goes, it's still redfish is the #1 bite. Redfish is just absolutely perfect right now. Still using cut bait. They have moved back up into the mangroves due to the it getting hot all week. I've been finding them right where the water is clear and goes to dirtyish, kind of milky looking water. Right there on that edge, I've been setting up one spot. We caught 6 or 7 redfish just in one spot. So we moved to another spot just to see if that was kind of the trend. And sure enough, found another spot, same thing, mangrove point line, and right where the water was dirty mixing and it got clear. They were sitting right there. It worked really good, and we had a lot of success with that. Like I said, it was cut pins mostly for us. Also had some cut ladyfish as well. As far as snook goes, snook bite this week for me was tough. I had to go to spots that I knew they were at, and I had to go to spots that were basically creating artificial tide, because the tide movement this week was just, it wasn't good. So I had to go to spots that I knew they were at and have a false kind of current coming between either the wind or where it gets big water, goes into small water, back into big water, and they're sitting right there ambushing. Caught a couple, a nice snook off of that. One of the pictures you'll see is our big one for the week. I think it was 32 or 33. Trout, I've actually been catching trout up on the flats and the potholes when I've just been cruising around the trolling motor, checking out some areas. I'll see a pothole, I'll just flip over to it, and sure enough, I'll pull a trout out of it. So usually I'm seeing them, where it's up on the flats in the grass. We're looking at, your 2 foot of water, 1.5 feet, and then a pothole down to like 3 maybe. They've been sitting in there pretty good. That's been my go-to if I want to pick a trout up. As far as bycatch this week, it's been bonnet heads. Low tide, we've been sitting on the flats waiting for the tide to come up. I'll throw out some cut bait on both sides of the boat and just pull in a bonnet head. That's been the great bycatch of the week. They're always fun. 1 or 2, my son in particular loves them. It's funny. So also a quick story. We were fishing at the beach at Anclote Beach, and we were fishing for snook and happened to throw a squirrel fish out the back, not on heavy tackle, but next thing we know, the rod just snapped, like just bends over crazy. My son Lucas grabs the rod, picks it up, starts kind of tightening the drag down, and soon enough this large tarpon jumps out. I mean, it was, I can't even guess the size of it, but it was a monster. And as soon as he jumped, he took off again, snapped the line like it was nothing. But it was fun nonetheless. It created a great smile for my son, so that was a great experience. As far as this week goes, it looks like it's going to be really windy all week in my area, lots of rain. So that being said, be safe if you get out. Don't try and push the limits if you're going offshore. I was wanting to get offshore and maybe get into some hogfish again. I haven't done that in a while, and kind of wanting to go back offshore and have fun with that for a little bit, but I'm not going to go out if it's too sporty. It's just not worth it. But if I do get out, I'll make sure you guys get a report for what I do next week, and we'll see you guys later.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jim. We're able to get them back on, Jota? Huh? You what? You can't?
Can't connect
Okay.
again.
Well, maybe we'll try to get them next week. Get them on, because
Yeah.
I really want a lot of answers with this lithium thing. I think a lot of people want this, and
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got a couple more questions I want to just ask, and I think I think the majority of the problem with people not wanting to use lithium, obviously, you see a lot of media. It's always bad press with boat fires and lithium batteries and stuff like that.
Well, not just
But
boat fires. It's Ron, but living right there on the water when the hurricanes came through last year. 3 houses from him, the people had a Tesla, and they put
Mhm,
it on blocks inside the garage. But that
mhm.
water came about 4 feet through the house,
Yeah.
and the car caught fire.
Oh
And
yeah.
the
Yeah.
fire department couldn't do anything about it, but try to contain the fire to the house so it wouldn't burn the houses next to it, because you can't you can't use water to turn off a electrical fire like that with
Correct.
lithium battery. It
Correct.
just makes it worse.
Yeah, and so
It
that
takes
that would be
special
my
equipment.
question. If especially, for boaters out there, if you do have lithium on there, what is your best if you do happen to have a fire, what is the best thing to have on board to put it out real quick?
We need to do that research, Mike. I'm going to do it this week.
Yeah,
What kind of
because
fire extinguisher? What do you do?
yeah, because I mean, there's several different fire extinguishers, and they, especially with oil and everything else, they ask you to do the certain type of extinguisher for boats because and it's usually the chemical. It's not a CO2 or water or anything. It's a chemical. So just my curiosity is, does that chemical work as well putting out a lithium battery fire
Well,
if you happen to have?
your marine fire extinguisher says electrical,
Correct.
but the electrical lithium battery, I think it's a little different. I don't know.
Correct.
And Jim would have been able to answer that, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll get a hold of him, try to get him on again. He
Yeah.
was just trying to do it out of his truck, and
Right.
that makes it pretty difficult. But like I got lithiums and that I'm running on the beaver tail,
Mm-hmm.
but then on the big boat, I use a 31 Blue Top Optimus
Yeah.
AGMs. I like AGMs more than I guess it depends on the skiff, man. A 24 volt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big. I'm saving about 35 pounds, and
Yeah.
on a light boat like that, you take 35 pounds here and a few pounds there, and it makes a big difference when you're trying to get into 7 inches of water.
It does. It does. Yeah. Especially when put 2 or 3 people in the boat, and you need just another couple inches, especially here in Crystal River, a couple inches to get over the little hump to get where we need to go. And if you got a little lighter and you can do that, then that'll work. But I also wonder because you see them on Amazon a lot, those LifePo batteries that they're pushing like crazy, and TikTok and social media. And I'm also just wondering if it's the quality of the battery that creates issues, to where the quality of the battery doesn't keep water out, or is it human error, placement of it? So those type of questions. I think
And I hope Jim can answer
Something.
some of those. But
Yeah.
and again, it's like he said, you got to be a real battery manufacturer.
Correct.
And it's real easy for a lot of these guys, and I know how it's done. I mean, you can call China and say, "Hey, I want lithium batteries," and they'll tell you, "How cheap do you want to buy them?"
Mm-hmm.
And you tell them, and then they make you a lithium battery for that price. Now,
Yeah.
it might be a piece of crap, but
Right.
one of the things I wanted for him to touch on this, that on some of them you got to read the fine print where it says there's no warranty if it gets wet. Well,
Yeah.
what are the chances on a boat that battery there? I mean, yeah, if you got it somewhere, really, but the average boater, I mean, I was amazed because having those Pathfinders over the years, they always really, you had the batteries in the console, and I think they were always pretty dry. But going through the boat show and looking at a lot of these boats, I was amazed how many batteries are still back there around the Belge area. And
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get wet.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way around it. Or
No.
where they have them, when you have them inside the console, and like on this west end, it's on the deck inside the console and it's kind of sealed. I don't see water ever getting in there. But then
Correct.
some of these are built under the floor,
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is water comes through there. You got a hatch that's just dropped down on it.
Yeah.
My Skeeter was that way. The Skeeter just had like a loose floorboard on top of the batteries that sat on the lip, and the batteries are down there. Well, water would get in there, it would dribble down in between the batteries.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, it's a moist environment down there. Even though you may pull that plug, that moisture is still inside that bilge area, inside the underneath of that boat. Even though it's been sitting in your driveway for a couple of days after you've been out there, that water, it's going to take a while to dissipate out of there. And so it's a wet environment. So yeah, in order to use a lithium battery on your boat, you know, even if it's not quality, I mean, you need to have a place where it's going to be consistently dry or dries out within a certain amount of time, so it's not sitting in moisture all the time.
Let's do Mike Dawson so we don't run too tight right now.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here at Patriot Geyser is here at this week's fishing report and forecast. So with September almost coming to an end here, running through October, our main target species is going to continue to be redfish. Redfish have been found on all of our main islands, Anclote, Three Worker, Honeymoon, beachside as well as in the mangrove side, as well as coming through the main intercoastal, all your islands leaving the Anclote River, plenty of these fish. The mangroves leading up from the Anclote River up to Gulf Harbors and holding lots of fish. Really about everywhere. And this is the time of year we see these big schools of redfish come into our area, kind of getting ready to do their spawning thing, get together in their big groups. If you want to see a big redfish, one over 40 inches, this is the time of year to do it. Cut bait has been always a great producer for redfish, especially this time of year, the water temperature being hot. A few of the fish are targeting on live bait, but the majority of them are eating cut bait a lot better. Early morning, late evenings is always a little bit better, but some of those high tides have been producing quite a few fish. For the guys who want to do offshore fishing, our kingfish have really started to show up. Look for the big bait schools out there early morning. You'll see birds diving on them. You'll see fish skyrocketing on them. Blue runners, thread fins. A little bit of everything has been out there for bait fish, and these kingfish are circling around eating them. Big jacks, bonita, stuff like that are still mixing them, but kingfish, Spanish mackerel, some snapper following them if they're near the reefs. So it's a good time to be out there. Bait can be found right now, whether it be out there on Anclote Key near the Tiki Hut, or down south, you're seeing around the Dunedin Causeway on the bridges there. Lots of bait hanging around. Should be an easy early chum. Bring the smaller mesh net. A lot of bait is smaller right now, but there's still plenty of bait out there. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, you see, all the reports seem like you guys that are on the Gulf, you're getting a little bit of more better action than we are inside the bait.
Yeah.
Now, maybe too, Tampa Bay is getting a lot of pressure, Mike. I mean, we got so many people fishing Tampa Bay inside the Bay. Yeah.
There's a lot of people there.
Well, we do that, and you're right. We're it's growing so fast that it's unbelievable. I mean, I look at my area, and oh my God, in the last 6-7 years, it's like you don't recognize Wesley Chapel. I mean, when I moved here, it used to be a 2-lane highway of State Road 54, and to go to the grocery store, you had to go all the way down about 8 miles, and now, Jesus, we got everything. In fact, I got a brand new Target opening up 2.5 miles from my house. On a small, and we got tons of restaurants. 4-lane highway now, and they're going to 5. Oh God, Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, the growth is getting too much here in Florida. It's just really expanded. I mean, I expected, Crystal River area when I moved here, I'd have about 10 years or so before it really started growing up, and within 5, it started growing up. And now with the Veterans Parkway coming through, which is great for some of us because I travel down there to Tampa quite a bit. It's great just to shoot down there, but now that it's coming through here, now we're getting the traffic and more people are coming up because, I've got friends who now live in Brooksville commuting to Tampa just to get out of, the busyness. So it's just expanding and expanding. And yeah, you get more people out there, more pressure out there in the fishing. So you kind of have to change a lot of your tactics, what you used to do, and catching a lot of fish, and you have to kind of know some of those techniques and secrets to find your
Right.
fish now.
Well, let's get Jessica's fishing report
Sure.
in.
Hey guys, Captain Jessica with the Old Hookem Charters out of Chaz. So this week I didn't have as many trips, so I was able to actually fish a little bit more for myself and for pleasure. So I usually use Q8 super baits on a 16-ounce jig head. My husband was using swim baits and topwater. When we did use bait, we were able to find some ladyfish, and we just cut them up into 1-inch chunks. That seemed to do the trick really well. We did go into the backcountry a little bit more this week just to see what's kind of going on. And the water temperature is still really hot. It's 88, 89 out there. The snook are doing really well still. Look for that moving water and some oyster bars or maybe some outside islands. With October approaching, we should start seeing some more sheephead and black drum in my area. I hope you guys can get out, have fun, tight lines, and if you don't have a boat and want to fish beautiful Chaskawissa, Florida, come book with me at 352-464-7309. Tight lines, have a great day.
All right.
Yeah, I messaged Jessica earlier today, and I need to get down there and fish that Chaz. I have yet to fish it. Everybody talks about it. I need to just call her up one day and go out there and do some filming and fish the Chaz area. I know you have.
Yeah, in fact, we were supposed to go. I go every year with a group to the Chaz, and we stay at a little, like a bed and breakfast and fishing thing. And we had scheduled one for next year already. But when I looked at, when I got the boat show schedule last week for next year, that one weekend in March is the same weekend that we were booked to go. So I won't be able to make it.
No.
And I called the guy up and he said, Sergio, that was the only weekend, or I got another weekend in April. And I said, I can't. April, every Friday, I'm running a corporate event.
Yeah.
So maybe Jessica knows somebody else is running a little deal like that up there that I can talk to.
Yeah.
And see if we can get up there, because we love it up there. I mean, we've been going every year in January, but January's been so bad the last 3 years, real cold. I mean,
Yeah.
This year it was so cold. That was the worst weekend that we had this year as far as weather was at. And the tide was so low that even these guys with the jet skis, with the jet motors, they couldn't leave the river. And normally,
No.
we make our way and get into these little springs. We could not leave the river, and we spent the whole time just trout fishing in the river, except for that one big snook that I caught by luck.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
were trying to get a little warmer weather just to try see if we do better,
Yeah. And I think that time you were down there, I had some charters here in Crystal River, and it was the same thing. It was just windy, and there was no water. I couldn't even in the Crystal River where I've got some good, decent fish, I couldn't even get to it. And I told those guys, I said, hey, can we expound this another day? And we can try it for tomorrow. And I was able to reschedule for the next day, and we killed it. But yeah, that January was cold this year.
Well, that's the problem. When you go down there for 3 days, we spend the weekend, and you got some clients that go with you. At least, some of the years have been windy, but you get inside those creeks and you got those big reeds, and they drop the power poles down, and we fish those little springs. We caught redfish, we caught puppy drum, we caught trout, flounder, but this year we couldn't leave the river. I mean, actually, most of the time we were in 5-6 minutes of the camp because couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really hardly nowhere that you could go.
No.
So we're trying to do, it happens.
Yeah.
What can I tell you? But hey, we want to be thanking everybody. The next boat show is going to be in March of next year, and we hope to see you. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for watching Fishing Adventures Florida. We're over 43,000 subscribers. And almost every time I just put a thing on, if you want to learn about bait nets and cast nets, not throwing a net, but understanding a bait net. I did a thing for Lee Fisher on the bait nets, on understanding a bait net. And I tell you, it's only been out about 5 days and got almost 7,000 views on it already.
Mhm.
So it's doing really good. So
Yeah.
don't miss it. And hopefully, trouble is Mike and I are so far apart, but we are going to go up there and do a show with him. Did we pick a date already? I don't remember.
Yeah, about October 29th, my son's
Okay.
birthday. We'll be out there so far. So as long as the weather holds.
So
I
as the
think it
weather
will.
holds.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it should be fine, but you never know in Florida, of course. But
We're going to try.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
And the
like
beaver
Friday.
tail.
We've had this trip planned for 4 months. This Thursday to go with Hubbard's, to go out there and after snapper and the big mangroves and look at the weather.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the trouble with hurricane season. You don't know, but I thank God that those hurricanes are staying out in the middle of the Atlantic and
Yeah.
not really hurting anybody,
No,
because I don't want it to hurt anybody,
no,
and I sure don't want it to come by here.
no, not at all.
So, well, we want to thank you very much, and don't forget Fishing Adventures Florida. It's on YouTube, Waypoint, Carbon TV, Angling TV, Outdoor Action TV, and the new channel is called Gen 7, GEN 7 Outdoors. You can see us on that channel. We're on there, and eventually they're going to be in the next month or so on Roku, Apple TV, Samsung, and what's Prime, the Amazon.
Prime. Well, it's Prime. Amazon
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah, so we're going to be on all those channels with Gen 7 because they'll have a channel under their guide in there. So thank you very much. And Mike, thank you
guys.
for your time. And
Oh,
God
sure.
bless everybody.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.